living in a dream world if you think anti-Semitism is going to die in America, in the Western world, really. America, Canada, Europe for sure. Like most of the people that I meet, like young people who make Aliyah, are many of them are places like France, England, Belgium, Sweden, Netherlands, Germany, all these kind of places. They're not, and these people are not necessarily religious people. They're just Jews who see what's going on in Europe, and they get up and they leave and they go home and they come home. And they become Israelis and they go to Ulpan and they learn Hebrew, right? So, yeah, my friends, that's what's happening. Like, and the rabbi spoke about that the last, so to speak, gullus, the toughest one to leave would be North America. Why? Because it's comfortable here. And most of the Jews here are assimilated. Most of the Jews here are like, they consider themselves more Americans than Jews. It's interesting because they're about to get a very rude wake-up call, because you guys probably heard, like in California now, in these schools, public schools, they're teaching race theory, and one of the components of that, one of the things they're going to be learning is about how Jews in America are part of the white privilege rubric, right? And how we're privileged. Jews are privileged. We have white privilege, and that's going to lead to all sorts of fun things, my friends. All sorts of things. Let's just forget about the Sephardic Jews who live in America, the Syrian Jews who are not white, or who are, I don't know, maybe light-skinned, but I guess they say that these people benefit from the whiteness privilege, or the whiteness, they fall under the umbrella of the thing, the privileges of all the white people, even though they're not white, right? Syrian Jews, Iraqi Jews, Moroccan Jews, whatever. Yeah, listen, that's where America's headed, my friends. And unfortunately, as we know, history tends to be a broken record. The Jews in America, just like Jews all other empires, got a very nice wake-up call. And they're about to get one, I would say. They're about to get one. Especially since there's all these wonderful Jews in the Democratic Party and in the Biden administration who are pushing all these great policies, like we're talking about critical race theory. If you guys know the guy by the name of Zeke Emanuel, Rahm Emanuel's brother, who wrote articles about how, he thinks that the ideal is that people should pass away at 75 years old. After that, they're not really contributing anything to society. They're not really giving anything of wisdom or anything like that. They're living, what does he call it, a leisure lifestyle. They're sucking off of the economy of, we have to pay them Social Security and pensions. So they have to fade it, and he includes himself in this, The guy's basically he's a Jewish version of Mengele. He's a eugenicist. Or Mengele Light, I would call him. And that's he's one of Biden's COVID advisors. Right? Very nice, right? So of course, it wouldn't surprise me if people realize this, and realize that all these so-called Jews, they're not actually Jews, they're actually what you call Erev Rav, against whom we have the final battle before Mashiach comes, who, are engaged in these wonderful policies, and who will basically, the people are going to rise up against them, and all Jews by extension, because they're gonna pull normal people in, normal Jews in with these idiots, with these brain dead Erev Rav, right? They're not actually so brain dead. They're just Erev Rav. They hate themselves, right? So, my friends, that's where we're headed. I include in that group the person who runs this website, the one I'm speaking to you guys now. He's part of that. Some of the people who run Google are part of that as well. And all different, people who work at all these different social media places. People who work in media companies, people who work on Wall Street. Unfortunately, again, my friends, history is a broken record. There's a video of our friend Louis Farrakhan from 10 years ago. He was speaking to his congregants in Chicago of his Nation of Islam, And he was trying to tell them, look at the, look at the professional sports, namely, specifically the NBA and the NFL. He says, who are the owners and commissioners of all of these, not all, but a lot of these teams? And he started naming names. He started saying, Bud Selig, David Stern, Mickey Arison. He started just naming one after the other, right? And he says, these guys are wealthy. It's kind of like Chris Rock. What did he say? Shaq is rich. The white guy who signs his check is wealthy. He didn't say Jewish, he said white. But Farrakhan said they're all Jews. And he said, brother, and then he was addressing LeBron James to, kind of directly. He said, brother LeBron, brother Dwayne Wade. He was talking about when all three of those guys, who was the third guy on the team? All three of them were, they banded together on the Miami Heat to win the championship. And he said, brother LeBron and brother Wade, they were all lured by this Jewish owner to Miami. And who was the owner, the previous owner of LeBron in Cleveland? Another Jew, Dan Gilbert. And these black men arrived in Miami, and the Jewish owner was so happy. Welcome to the plantation, And now that they won the championship, oh, check out this ring I got. Bling bling, he's saying, oh, you guys love your bling bling. So he's basically saying that he was trying to kind of quote unquote wake his people up to say, look at all the owners of these teams are all Jews, right? And he was saying that how he was saying that, I'm not saying this, that this was modern day slavery, and that the Jews are the modern day slave plantation owners, my friends. It's only a matter of time, and you guys saw this summer with people like Ice Cube and the other guy. What's his name? I forgot the name of this guy. He was what's his name? Mariah Carey's ex-husband. They already started talking about that. And it's only a matter of time, my friends, before a majority of Americans kind of wake up to this stuff, and and as always that happens, they pull everybody in together. All the Jews in together into one nice, happy family, as we usually are. And I don't know. At best, the best scenario, the best kind of result would be that we get kicked out, we get chased out of America, or life just becomes a little bit more uncomfortable than it is now, and we have to go home. So, interestingly enough, what I'm curious about usually is, 75 or 80% of Jews who are kind of not in the headspace of, moving to Israel. I'm really curious what they're going to do. Are they going to pack their bags and move to Israel? What is Israel going to look like then? What are the demographics of Israel going to look like? Is the country going to be full of leftists or anti-religious people? Or maybe these people will wake up to their own, spirituality, to their own culture, to the Torah. Maybe they'll make tshuva. Who knows? I don't know. I was talking to a few rabbis, and they told me, listen, man, these are rabbis who are they work in the, in outreach, and they told me, listen, sweet, you're not gonna mikarav, you're not gonna get everybody. You're not gonna teach everybody Torah. You're not gonna get everybody to keep Torah and mitzvot. You have to focus on your people around you, your family and your friends. And then, one of these rabbis, he told me, listen, man, how many people left Mitzrayim? What does the Midrash say? How many Jews left Mitzrayim? Left Egypt? Now that, since we're talking about this week's Parsha, right? Splitting of the sea. 20%, 80%, 4 out of 5 stayed back and they died in the darkness. Whether it's physical darkness or spiritual darkness, whatever darkness, right? In the words of Dave Chappelle, darkness, right? When he was talking about Eddie Murphy and his brother, darkness brothers, right? So they died in the darkness. So I wonder, are the Jews of North America or the United States going to die in the darkness, Or are they going to actually wake up in every way possible? And are we going to see something, you know, something incredible that we didn't think that we'd see, right? Remains to be seen. I hope the latter. I really hope the latter. But I'm also, as I apologize in advance, I'm now about to hit this wonderful road called the Palisades Parkway, and there's not much, there's poor reception here, so if I lose you guys, I've already been yakking to you for about, I don't know, 45 minutes probably. So yeah, that's the story, my friends. History, Jewish history in particular, is a broken vinyl record, and it skips, you know. And it comes back to the same, the needle usually comes back to the same place on the record, you know. The tune may sound a little bit different, or no, I'm sorry, not the tune, but the way that the needle is put on the record might be different, but the tune is more or less the same. It's more or less the same. And we're in it, my friends. Year 2021, January, we're in it, you know. I have some friends telling me about, yeah, I know what's happening, so therefore I'm gonna go move to, they're telling me they're gonna go move to Italy or New Zealand. And I'm just like, okay, New Zealand is gonna ban, or thinking about banning, kosher, you know, kosher shechita, kosher slaughter. In Italy, what are you gonna do in Italy? If you're going to Italy, you may as well go to Israel. It's you know, culturally speaking, kind of similar. Like, why not just go home? Like, why are you gonna be in Italy? Well, it's a European country, it's civilized, it's this, it's that. I'm like, yeah, but like, this just doesn't make any sense. A lot of people are just kind of, they understand what's going on in America, but at the same time, they're a little bit lost as to, you know, what the solution might be. Yeah, guys, we're in for, you know, it's interesting. Speaking of China, you guys probably heard there's a Chinese had a saying when they wanted to, I don't know if this is true, but I heard, you know, people kind of spread this around. When the Chinese want to curse you, they tell you, may you live in interesting times. Yeah, we're living in interesting times. Very interesting. You know, we have these people in the Democratic Party, you know, their names are Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and they walk around and they say, we have to protect the Jews, and we have to, you know, we have to fight anti-Semitism. They had symposium on anti-Semitism, how to counter anti-Semitism. And then what does she do? She goes to the symposium, talks about how to counter anti-Semitism, and then a day or a week later, she makes a video about how Israel is a racist and evil apartheid state. My friends, I mean, you know, I talked to some friends of mine who are like Jewish, pro-Israel, but still kind of like on the Democratic Party's plantation, so to speak. But I tell them this, and they're like, you know, Tzvi, I agree with you. I don't like these people in our party. I don't like Rashida. I don't like Ilhan. There's a few. There's more of them. These are the two that stand out. There's a whole coalition of these guys. They call themselves the Democratic Socialists, right? It's like, I don't like these guys. They're not part of my thing, and I'm, you know, they're not. I'm not down with their ideology, which is why we have started a democratic Israel, or something like the Jewish coalition, Democratic Coalition, pro-Israel, something, blah, blah, blah. And I tell these people, I'm like, my friend, I love you, thank you, you're awesome, you're great, you know, let's have a drink, let's have a bite, I love you, but you're very naive, and you are your little coalition inside the Democratic Party is going to be eaten alive. Just like every other pro-Israel, pro-Zionist organization in the former Soviet Union back in the, the time of the revolution was eaten alive by, Yevtsektia, by those groups of Jews who were like anti-religion and anti-Zionist, and they were just walking around and basically, purging the party and the land of these people. Yeah, my friends, listen. And that's, on top of that, somehow we're able to infiltrate the Zionist movement, and, some of them actually founded the State of Israel. Interestingly enough, that's a separate conversation. But, my friends, all of these people with these kind of noble causes who are content to hang around nefarious characters usually get eaten alive, whether politically or physically. That's for shalom. I tell my friends, listen, I don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying you should walk over to the Republican Party. What I'm saying is, wake up, man. If you think that you're going to change this party, which is now basically has a cancerous tumor and is going to be disintegrate into basically darkness and rampant anti-Semitism and rampant anti-Israelism, you think you're gonna change those guys? You're sadly mistaken. I don't know if you guys saw the recent article by Caroline Glick. She said, listen, it used to be that the Democratic Party was the predominantly pro-Israel. And, there was a kind of a bipartisan thing, support for Israel in Washington, right? And even the Democrats could hold the feet to the fire of any president who was, engaged in any anti-Israel policies. Like, for example, when Obama was there was a lot of pro-Israel Democrats who were, they weren't down with a lot of the stuff that Obama was saying. And Caroline Glick wrote, she's like, we're at the point now where all those people have been voted out of Congress. All those Democrats have been voted out of Congress. People like Eliot Engel and others, right? And that's it. We've had a sea change in the Democratic Party, which means that Israel is basically, we don't want to say Israel's alone, but Israel has to now, first of all, fend for itself and also look for other allies, if they haven't been already. I'm sure Bibi knew this, right? Bibi accounted for this. The diplomatic, all kinds of people who work in diplomatic positions in Israel saw this coming. They knew. They're not stupid, right? But Caroline Glick wrote about this. She said, you guys need to wake up. This is what's happening. And if you think that you're going to form these coalitions and, fight the good fight inside the Democratic Party, wonderful, cute, whatever, nobody cares about your little coalitions. Unfortunately. Yeah, my friends. So, with all that said, or with all that ranted, it's actually, contrary to what you guys may think, I think it's a fantastic time to be alive. Baruch Hashem. We're living in history. We're always living in history, but we're especially living in history now. We will be able to tell our kids and our grandkids about this time and how, yet again, there was an evil, and how the evil was eventually, as it always is, sooner or later, conquered by good, because the light is more powerful than darkness, my friends. You should know that. It's a basic, speaking of Kabbalists, it's a basic Kabbalah principle. It's a basic physics principle. And, my friends, at least we people, I told you guys about my friends who are trying to make Aliyah, my friends who are already in Israel, the small amount of us, we understand, we know that we're living in the times of Moshiach. We know that. We see it. A lot of nevuot, a lot of prophecies have already come true. Especially for me, I work in the wine industry. Our prophets spoke about the vineyards coming alive. the city's being rebuilt in these places, and the vineyards coming alive, and it's happening, my friends. We are in it. I work in it. My so to speak occupation, my vocation in life is part of nevuah, which is why no matter what hardships I go through, and I was telling this to my partner, it's almost like I can't just let it go. No matter what the adversity, no matter what tough times, it's something that's part of a larger story. It's not just a business, it's part of the story of the Torah, the story of the Tanakh, the story of the Jewish people. And you want to talk about privilege, I feel this is a Jewish privilege. I feel very, very privileged to have the merit of the zchut to work in this industry, and to work with Israeli wines. Not only that, to be associated with people who are working in Israeli, in agriculture in Israel, in particular Judea and Samaria, the cradle of Jewish civilization. And I really hope, guys, that a lot of people, it's interesting, a lot of people in America who are, let's say, Jews who are on the left-wing side of the political spectrum, who are pro, let's say, environment, or pro, they love trees, they love the outdoors. I really hope that we can somehow teach them, or I can teach them, that a lot of this has to do with the fact that why they are the way they are. Excuse me, guys. Because they have, Hashem is in them, and the Torah is in them, and if they just look in the Torah speaks to these things. The Torah is not silent on, working with the land, especially your homeland, right? And B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see some kind of a revolutionary change, my friends, to where even the most disconnected Jews will somehow find themselves having to leave America and come to Israel. Maybe we'll see something that we didn't think we would see. And one can hope, one can pray for this. And it's basically it, guys. The future is bright. Despite everything I just described to you, the future is brighter than you guys think. Alright, guys. I will talk to you soon. Shavua Tov. And speak soon.